Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the delay in having this video for the developers notes, but here we are. So this is actually quite a short developers notes. I actually skimmed through it before making this video to get a rough idea of what they're trying to say, and I actually have some thoughts that could give you better insight of what is to come. So stay tuned for that, and we are gonna just take a quick look. Okay, this is basically the PD just expressing his gratitude and apologies for whatever that has gone wrong, and he is thankful for the support that players have given so far. And I think, so far, I think they've been doing a pretty good job with the game, and the game has been, getting a lot of attention throughout the past few months. So it's a really nice comeback for Seven Knights. Okay, so without further ado, new hero. I'm sure many of you guys have played Advanced Arena and have seen that golden wheel, and the first sight of it, I was so excited. We already knew who that belonged to, and Freyja is coming to the game. A bit early, but according to some Korean leaks, as I mentioned to a few players, a group of players, I said that, when Truth is coming out, they will probably be teasing Freyja as well, and Freyja is finally here. She looks amazing. The art is so good. The art is honestly so good. Yeah, every game Freyja looks amazing. Yeah, so anyway, she is a magic hero, no surprise, and she will serve as the cornerstone for teams centered around magic type heroes. So I would assume magic teams are making a comeback, so those who have your T6 Yonhees and T6 Vanessas, you can be sure to use them, because I'm pretty sure they will come in very, very handy alongside Freyja. And if you have a Kirill and Juri, maybe Juri still can come back, I think Juri will be very useful as well. And of course Kirill. I think Yushin may also stand a chance depending on what kind of skills Freyja will have. And then also probably, I'm not too sure if Mercure will actually make much of an impact, in the current meta, because she's quite fragile. So we'll see what Freyja actually brings to the game. What I would expect Freyja to have could probably be, something like magic vulnerability, something like Phi, but maybe at a lesser percentage. And then something I would expect Freyja to have could also be paralyzed, because if they really want to cancel out the tank teams, then having a hero with paralysis on the magic team is going to be very important. We do have Kirill already, so maybe not paralyzed, maybe another status effect. Okay, back in the day, based on what I saw from Korea server, especially for Freyja actually mainly dealt damage and also has buff duration reduction, and she probably should have a pierce skill as well, judging from the golden swords from her circlet, right? So that could be a thing. And then, yeah, basically in the Korea server, she wasn't that exciting, I think, but she had a lot of damage nullification going on for her, and she had some other Korea exclusive effects, which I am not too clear about. Okay, so we'll see how it goes. She was pretty much the one I mentioned that could bring back magic teams. So I think magic teams will be able to make a comeback really, really soon. We have a new story for her, and this side story is about the Celestial Guardians, and it wasn't covered in the main story, so this is pretty interesting because Juri is actually a new hero for the Seven Knights Rebirth, so it'll be interesting to see where, according to them, clash of values between Juri versus Freyja and Truth, and it goes beyond simple combat, and it will add depth and richness to their character's appeal. So very, very exciting stuff. Okay, they do have some new cutscenes, so let's take a look as well. Oh, spaceship, look at that. The spaceship hints at the next Celestial Guardian. If they are really going down the route of having all the Celestial Guardians out in a shorter period of time in the near future, then...
Get out of my way, weaklings!
Rat Grid. Rat Grid could be next, who knows. Rat Grid though, Truth killing Rat Grid spaceships kind of interesting. Not too sure what the dynamic is. Okay, next we have Ace and Spike's remake as well. So despite having defense reduction, passive Ace had a disappointing selection rate in actual combat due to the low utility of his other skills. That is so true, his skills are completely useless. Therefore, he will undergo a balance adjustment that is close to a remake, allowing him to play a central role for attack teams against defense teams. The improvements will be made by adding new effects while maintaining the effects of his main skills. So adding new effects. First, he has defense down, then he has increased physical vulnerability, and he also has decreased incoming recovery. So all these already pretty much kind of counter the tank team. The other good stuff I would say to counter tank teams would be somehow giving Ace fixed damage, which I don't know if that makes sense, right? And also giving him unable to recover. But I'm not too sure if having one skill with unable to recover and another skill having decreased incoming healing rate is going to be effective, because unable to recover is definitely the stronger version, especially if it's going to be an AoE, right? And then I think his single target skill, the buff duration reduction skill, because at the moment, other than applying a status effect to that skill, well, I don't really see much they can add to that actually lets them counter tank teams. Yeah, so I'm not too sure. We'll see how that goes. And then we have Spike here, mainly used as a counter pick against specific team compositions in Guild War, but we receive a lot of feedback about his relatively low win rate and high equipment dependency even as a counter pick. Through this adjustment to establish Spike as a clear counter to specific compositions, we aim to enhance the performance and efficiency of his core skills. The specific stat changes and effects for both heroes will be detailed in the... Okay, so the fact that he said high equipment dependency could mean that he will be getting certain stat buffs on his passive, maybe effect hit rate, so that he's able to, or maybe effect probability, who knows, to allow him to freeze better. And I think maybe also block rate so that he tanks better, because ultimately Spike is a tank as well, semi-tank. So if he doesn't survive well, then there's really no point in using him. So perhaps they would actually give him some block rate buffs as well, or maybe some defensive related buffs. That could be pretty decent. To be honest, I've never used Spike at all, even from my Korea server days, so I honestly have no idea like how he performs in battle, but I know the freeze mechanic itself is the problem and not so much Spike. Because if your freeze keeps breaking, yes, you do peripheral damage to the enemy, right? But the enemy still can move, so unless they're going to also enhance the effect of freeze, then I'm not too sure if Spike is going to see a big comeback. But of course, as I mentioned earlier in my Truth review video, freeze kind of counters against Truth, because if you can stop Truth and just chip down her HP with additional peripheral damage or damage over time skills or effects, then I think that could really come in handy against her, especially since she lives that long. But that would also mean that your Spike, or heroes that do such damage will also have to live that long. So they will have to enhance its survivability for sure. And then for the next part is Total War and Advanced Arena Grade Restructure and Ranking Reward Enhancement. Basically they're narrowing the tiers. They're expanding the tiers, not narrowing. They're expanding the tiers and just having more each tier is going to be slightly narrower, right? And they're giving more rewards. So that's all you need to know from this whole chunk of information. Okay, and because Advanced Arena was in its pre-season, so moving forward, they're going to have the actual season, so the rewards will all be buffed as well. Okay, account level reward expansion. So there are actually top players who have surpassed level 120. I very much believe this is because of the Korea server, not so much for the global server. Okay, so definitely for the Korea server, they have been playing 4 months in advance. I'm pretty sure they have all hit about very high levels, like maybe 120 or slightly less. So this will definitely be catered for them rather than for us. New costumes, 6 new costumes. Basically, these costumes are the ones we have seen, on the side here. They are the anniversary costumes. So they will be not for sale upon launch. Okay, they are kind of like paid at first, okay, because you will get coupons included with some of the merchandise sold at the 7 Nights Offline Festival event scheduled for December 14th, and then thereafter they will be sold upon the new year for the first 2 weeks with rubies. I would assume they cost 3,000 rubies for each of them, because these are very, very special costumes. They should be rare costumes. Also, we have Guild War costume for Chris, and he looks amazing. The wings look amazing. This is one of the better costumes for Chris, because I think, to be honest, a lot of the costumes for Chris are not that great. So that is a good redemption. And oh boy, jewelry. Rosie finally has the costume. I think on the live stream they didn't show Rosie's costume. They showed Jewelry, Rachel and Phi, but I'm glad all of them are getting the costumes now. Rudy looks a little plain, to be honest. Chris looks good. And Rachel looks good also. I would actually rather use Chris's Guild War costume. Yeah, but anyway, so we have so many costumes, but you can't get them yet. Next one will be the Raid Essence acquisition event, though they have been really helpful. Some of you guys, if you haven't checked out the video I made, go check it out on how to use them and how you can get them fast so that you can actually enhance your gears or reset your gears appropriately. So in this particular event, if you clear raids a certain number of times, you will be able to obtain a certain number of Chaos Essence and Oblivion Essence as rewards. So again, I think if for free-to-play players who want to capitalize on this event, you can save your keys, right, to do your raids when the event hits, so that you can make the most out of it. Because I know free-to-play players will find it difficult to actually farm rubies and keys, and raids at the same time. So perhaps allocate some keys for this particular event, because ultimately they are trying to get you to, do raids, and if you also get keys in return. We plan to hold events based on your feedback in future. We will continue to make improvements to ensure smoother gameplay experience for all players. Yeah, I think they should have these kind of events, these kind of farming events, so that players are more enticed to actually play the game. Because some players are really holding back on their resources because it's difficult, it's really difficult to spend time and keys and stamina on either rubies and raids all together. So yeah, hopefully with events like that they can provide some incentive to do more. So this concludes the preview of some of the content for the December 11 update. Regarding quality of life improvements that many of you guys are curious about, the development team is conducting thorough tests to deliver them quickly, but only after sufficient verification and stability assurance. So main thing is for Guild War, from what I read here. Guild War, check guild members' content participation status, that's definitely good. Guild War, check the information on ally defense team formation and provide filters, that's also good. Expansion of officer slots, long awaited. Currently, I think you can only have 2 officers, which is really, really silly, because did they think that 2 people can run a guild? No, definitely not. Guild War quality of life improvements. Provide information on attacked target accessories, team speed, skill order. Okay. Feature to designate and mark an attack target for allies to see. So I guess this will allow better strategy and better planning against hitting certain heroes, so that you can actually assign the right people to hit, the target needed. Other features, feature to check Infinite Tower clear info and copy team feature. Though this is something that we have in Tower of Trials, I'm glad they're actually borrowing that over to Infinite Tower. One thing I would really hope is that they actually allow you to redo certain Infinite Tower floors. Okay, for content creators, I think that's very important. Yeah, so I really hope you can actually redo the floors just for content, not for the rewards. Okay, and then raid content booster mode. So I think this is very good as well. They have this in other Netmarble games whereby if you do a certain content by paying, double or triple the amount of stamina, you can actually get double or triple the rewards, okay, depending on the stamina you use, but you only do that content one time. So this is a very good lifesaver and time saver. Castle Rush auto clear feature. Again, this is something that they have had done in Seven Knights 2, whereby you can auto clear guild raids, okay, in future as well. I mean, possibly for Evan Expedition as well. You can auto clear these guild modes, but basically every time you auto clear, you will be removing a certain percentage of your score. So you auto clear at a lower score compared to your initial score that you've done. Right, so players who find it a hassle will probably resort to that, right? And as time goes by, you will have many guild members resorting to that, and your overall team's guild score will decrease. So again, it's really difficult. I mean, again, it's really important to maintain your guild standard, okay, for those who care, so that your guild members don't exploit this too much, and then you end up everyone suffers because the rewards are getting worse. But then again, that said, Castle Rush has never had great rewards. Okay, let's be honest. So if the devs are listening, please actually care to increase or buff the Castle Rush rewards, because there's no point getting EX plus chest and getting a 3-star fodder, which I have 500 of. It's incredibly ridiculous, okay? Let that be known. These are some main examples, great. Okay, we are also considering an expansion of hero growth elements. This is not a paid feature, but a way to naturally grow heroes by expanding the difficulty of daily dungeons, allowing anyone to increase their stats. So with that said, this is where I come in to offer some things that maybe you guys didn't know, especially those who didn't play Seven Knights 2. So in Seven Knights 2, we actually had this thing called Divinity. Divinity is like a, how do you call that? A web, a grid, right? And it is split into 5 sections. Basically, each section will then constitute stats, provide stats for a certain type of heroes. And similar to Seven Knights Rebirth, there were 5 branches. Basically, the physical, the offensive heroes, the range heroes. Okay, range in this case will be magic, I guess. And then we have the universal heroes, and then the support heroes and the tanks. So there's 5 types, similar exactly. So in this case, I would assume that they are going to borrow that kind of idea and use it here. And the reason why I think it could be that way is because in the old Seven Knights 1 in Korea server, they also had a similar, grid system, or rather a sphere system, whereby you can unlock nodes, different nodes on this spherical map thing. I can't find an image for it, I'm so sorry, but if you guys have played certain JRPGs like Final Fantasy, you'll know what I mean. It's basically like a grid system or job system whereby you have a lot of stats along lines, similar to the Divinity that I'm showing you guys right now. So they also had this in Seven Knights 1 Korea version. So I'm not too surprised if they're going to bring that over, but instead they're going to have different grids or different webs, right? And then each web will constitute stats for a certain type of hero. So that could be a thing, because they did mention expanding difficulty of daily dungeons, where I'm not surprised if they introduce a certain extra currency or material to be obtained from the daily dungeon, and then on top of that also use elements to correspond to that respective hero type for that particular grid. So yeah, this is something that I foresee is coming. To correct them, I think people who actually spend rubies on daily dungeons, only the people who spend some form of cash could possibly afford to do that every single day, right? Free-to-play players are not going to be spending too many rubies just on daily dungeon to push for this particular growth element. So yeah, keep that in mind. So that's basically it. They also gave us 10 pet wishlist summon tickets. Hopefully you guys got good stuff from there. And then basically we're gonna have quite a number of events, offline events coming this weekend as well. And yeah, coupled with a very big update for Freyja. So I hope you guys are excited. Feel free to leave in the comments what you think about this update, and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!